Welcome to the Mom Founders Table. Pull up a chair and join me every week as I become your thought partner and help you lead to create change. I'm your host, Kelsey Kenry, entrepreneur, millionaire mom of three, and strategic business coach for established mom entrepreneurs. Every week, you will get tactical guidance to apply to your business, leadership, and life that will help you further your true success while also being invited into a new way of thinking and being that creates true freedom. I'm here to call you out and call you up, so take a seat and let's begin. I had a conversation with a woman this weekend that honestly stopped me in my tracks. Welcome back to another episode of the Mom Founders Table. Today's our 100th episode. And within about 5 minutes of this conversation, I realized she wasn't struggling because she didn't know what to do. She was struggling because part of her was terrified if she actually became as successful as she said she wanted to be. And the craziest part about this is that she didn't even realize until this conversation that she was actually blocking it. And the more we talked, the more I realized that so many women are doing this. You've done it, I've done it, and we don't realize we're doing it. Women who are making 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures are doing this. And these women may look wildly successful on paper, but subconsciously, they are building a life that they don't even want to live. So today, for episode 100, I was committed to bringing you an episode that would be a big fucking breakthrough for you. And this is why today, if you're not watching the video of this episode, I literally have leggings on, no makeup, and my natural hair because I'm like, I want to be as comfortable as possible in delivering some uncomfortable things that everybody wants to hear. I have a couple of stories that I want to share with you about this. And I need you to just be present and listen because I promise you, this episode is going to change your life. It will drastically change your life. One of the biggest reasons that women stay stuck, right? We've all been in a place to where we're like, we meet again. Here we are. We're at the same place. We're at the same location that we keep trying to break through. And it's never because, especially for us as entrepreneurs, we're not lazy. It's not that we're incapable. It's not that we're unclear on what we want. It's because success is emotionally unsafe in our nervous system. Until you identify what your brain believes about what success will cost you, you will continue to sabotage the thing that you say you want. So recently I was in California. I was a speaker at one of my friends' retreats, and I was walking down the street with one of the women and we were talking, and she had come to me and said, I need to know more about you. And I was like, sure. Like, what do you want to know? So I started to tell her a little bit about what I do. And I was like, we come into the business, we redesign your infrastructure. We do that through your people, your pricing, your processes. I address the CEO and your leadership, your mindset, your thinking, your communication, as well as the tactical infrastructure. And I started to ask her some questions about her business. And she was amazing. This incredibly beautiful, kind, brilliant, and wildly successful woman speaking on massive stages, traveling all over the world, like doing the damn thing, right? And her frustration was, I have done all the things right. And I still don't feel like I am where I want to be in the amount of money that I am making. And so I asked her, I was like, what does that look like? Like, specifically tell me, like, what are you trying to do? And so I listened to her as she explained this, and she was saying, she wanted, more success, more money, more growth, just different things in her life. And so then I said to her, what are the things that are blocking you from having it? And I just let her talk, and I was observing as she was talking through this. And if you've ever had like a one-to-one conversation with me, you probably know that like one of my biggest gifts is like my diagnostic ability. My brain processes very quickly, and you could talk to me for 10 minutes, and in that 10 minutes, I'm going to be processing and being able to find the real problem that's underneath everything. And so as she finished like sharing all these things with me, I came back to her and I said, what I'm hearing in this is that you have a fear of success because the version of success that you think you want is clashing with what you want for your life. And so for her, she wanted to make more money, but how she has made money has cost her a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of time away from her family. And so her words were, I want to make more money, but her body was like, if I make more money, then I'll have to do all these things I don't want to do. And so, in her mind, and what her brain believed was that more money meant less freedom, less flexibility. Because she was like, I want to, make more, but also like, I want to be able to travel and spend time with my son. And I was like, why are these things separate for you? And that was where she kind of stood back after I said, I think you have a fear of success because you're separating these things. Your brain believes that in order to make to triple what you're making, you're going to have to triple the amount that you're working. And she just like stood there staring at me. And she's like, I never thought of that. And I know this because I have done this too. And so it was really unpacking for her. Okay, so right now we have a belief that more money is going to equal less freedom. And what we really want is freedom. More growth, more visibility is going to equal less presence. And what we really want is to be present. More success is going to change who I am. And I don't want to change who I am. So you probably have had a similar experience of saying that, okay, I want more money. I want more something. And then you wonder why you're kind of circling and you can't break through certain thresholds. And this is why. It's because your body and your beliefs are telling you that it is going to require something of you that you don't actually want, which is why you stay the same. So, of course, she was blocking her own success. Why would you let your brain create something that you believed was blocking the life that you actually wanted to live? And as I was talking to her and discovering these realizations, and she, thanked me endlessly. And then I told her, I was like, listen, you need to sit down and you need to write that new version of success. You want to make, $100,000 a month and work 20 hours a week? Awesome. Right now, your body and your brain doesn't know what that looks like. So you need to give your brain some sort of data to see how that could actually happen. So you start with the end in mind of what you want to create and then reverse engineer into it. And literally yesterday, she sent me a message and she's like, look, I built this out. And I'm like, that is amazing, because she finally had that clarity of, my gosh, I actually couldn't reach that income goal because of what I thought it was going to take away from my life. And that's my choice on how I build it, right? So you can build with those boundaries in mind. And I've done this exact same thing in my own life. What's interesting is that transparently, just because we know better doesn't always mean we do better. And I can trace back where I've done this at multiple points, especially especially around money, and right around like finding a breakthrough or going from under six figures to past six figures, building like a multi-million dollar net worth. Like there's these thresholds that like I would be stuck at for a while, and I would have to reevaluate my belief system and what I believed about what it was going to require for me to reach that next thing and who I was going to have to be. And my story was about a fear of success changing who I am as a person. And again, I really, this is really interesting to say, but I really consider myself like very humble and down to earth. And I, have some nice designer bags. And yes, I make great money, but also like when I go out in public, I rarely like wear makeup and I'm typically in leggings. And so I think for me, it was unraveling the visuals of like what a successful person looked like was one of the things I had to unravel. But it's not that I was ever necessarily afraid of failing, because I will try and experiment anything. But I was scared that people would think that I lost that part of me. Like, I love being the person that anybody can come to at any level to talk to about any single problem. I love solving problems for people. I was scared that it would cost me connection. I was scared that becoming wealthy would make people assume things about me. I was deeply afraid, and the most recent thing that I unraveled that's kind of all these things in one is like, I was afraid that being wealthy or making even more money would make me unrelatable. And for me, that connection with people, like I love people so much, is so important. And so I blocked myself, right? I blocked myself from growth because I didn't want to distance myself, because I believed that if I grew in the amount of money that I was making, that would put distance between me and people. It would make me unrelatable. It's not true. Just so you guys know, if you're having the same thought, if you have ideas of like, oh, wealthy people do this, or, and I don't want to be that, or wealthy people act like this, or wealthy people treat people poorly, or I have so many friends that make way more money than I do that are so kind and so generous. And I think those people have been put in my life for that reason of like, Kelsey, money's going to make you more of who you are. Right. And what's interesting is that as soon as I cross this threshold of recognizing money is going to make me more of who I am, when I make more money, I actually can go deeper into relationship with people. I can create more change. I can solve more problems, right? Rerouting these things to allow myself to see that I can be humble and wealthy at the same time, right? That I can create this version of success, this identity within me that is successful and relatable, that is successful and kind, right? Whatever the words are for you. And as soon as I cross this threshold of like, oh my gosh, like this is me, right? Like this is me blocking my own success by believing this thing. As soon as I unraveled, because anytime I recognize one of these belief systems, so if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, I can see this. Like, I believe that making more is going to, I'm going to have to work more hours, or I believe that making more is going to make my family mad at me, or whatever the thing is. Whenever you have that recognition or that realization, right, which is what I want you to have today, then it's about, okay, what are the new beliefs that we're choosing? What are the things to offset that belief, to choose the opposite? And then what data do we need to support that? So let's say you're afraid that your mom is going to be mad at you if you make more money, right? Maybe then what you need to do is you need to write down all the reasons that your mom would be happy for you. Maybe you need to have a conversation with your mom about how you're feeling, and actually, instead of making assumptions, see how she feels about it, right? And so when I crossed this threshold for myself and I had this recognition, this realization, and then of course, like, opportunities start coming in, because that's how the universe is when we have these breakthroughs. I was I don't even know what you call this on social media. Like, I guess attacked. Like, my character was attacked by a distant family member on social media, where a lot of assumptions were made, a lot of really unkind things were said. And they were making assumptions about me and the priorities in my life, while also saying that they don't have contact with me and they don't actually know what's going on. They only see social media. And so for me, it was really stepping back and first, like, diagnosing, okay, hurt people hurt people. This is a person who does not has had a hard time, right? And I know my truth, right? So going through and processing that whole situation, and what she assumed about me was that I did not have my priorities in order because we have distanced ourselves from certain family members. And it really affected me in a way of kind of stepping back into like, should I shrink myself? Am I wrong? Am I, questioning these things? And then realizing afterwards, again, that this is a person who is hurting. This is a person who is projecting. This is a person who has no actual idea what is happening behind the scenes of what it looks like to have three little kids and run a business because this person has not been in my shoes, right? And what it really revealed to me is that there will always be these parts of us that in these situations, we're offered two choices. We can either shrink ourselves and go back into our old identity to where previously, if somebody would have made these assumptions about me, I would have responded negating every single assumption, trying to make them understand me. But in the original message that was sent, which was a comment on Facebook, which was inappropriate in itself, but then a very long message was sent privately. And in these messages, she had already decided who she thinks I am. And previously, the smaller version of myself, the less, I don't want to say confident, but I guess confident, less confident version of myself, the person who was trying to please everybody, would have tried to say, wait, but like I'm actually not like that. And, here's proof of that, or here's what's actually happening, and trying to get her to understand me. But I realized she had already made up her mind. And when people make up their mind about who you are and say mean things because they are hurting, that's not going to be a productive use of time or energy. And for me, because I know that my purpose is so much bigger, because I know that there are people that I can utilize my time and energy on that would be productive and helpful and make a difference, that was my choice. And so I set a boundary on what I would allow to be said to me and about me. And then I said, best of luck to you. Because I was not willing to go back and forth in conversation because I knew that she had already made those, she had decided who I was. And this is just another piece of like why women don't allow themselves to be vulnerable, don't celebrate themselves, don't show the impact of their work. This is why we stay smaller than we're supposed to be, because there will be people like this. There will be people who are triggered by your success. There will be people who do make assumptions about you. And so this was an opportunity for me to say, I could either shrink myself or I could stand in who I know that I am. And you're going to get those opportunities consistently too. But what I want for you is I want you to stop creating your own ceiling. I want you to be able to break through these patterns and have this realization of how you're keeping yourself stuck faster. We do this with undercharging. We do this by procrastinating and finding busy work instead of doing the stuff that feels uncomfortable. We do this with overcomplicating, overanalyzing, overthinking. We do this with hiding. We do this with not launching the thing that, is on our heart. We do this by not speaking up, not using our voice. We do this when we are staying inconsistent somewhere in our life. We do this when we refuse support. We do this when we don't have accountability. We do this when we say we want one thing and then we're busying ourselves with things that don't actually have anything to do with that. We do this with avoiding visibility. We do this when we constantly rework our businesses instead of just focusing on the execution of the things that are already there. Most women don't need more steps or more tips or even more strategy. Typically, what women really need is they need accountability to follow through. They need help becoming the version of themselves that they're actually subconsciously afraid of becoming. And the only way to do that is by having accountability on executing on the things that make you uncomfortable, which is why having somebody that is willing to tell you the truth matters so much. And what I know about all of my clients and myself is that we are very self aware. Like you're here and you're listening to this because you already know the importance of personal growth, of going after your dreams, of doing the things that most people want. Like none of that is like new or fresh for you. That's part of who you are. But self-awareness and having these realizations, like I spoke to earlier, is not going to be enough to move the needle because we can be aware all day. We could be like, I ate too many chips today. And then tomorrow we can eat more chips. You know what I mean? Like, you can't see your blind spots clearly, just like I can't see mine. We can have these realizations, we can be aware, but in the conversation with the woman that I had, she knew and was very aware that was in a position and not making as much money as she wanted. What she couldn't see is why and what she needed to do about it. And we are so incredible at intellectualizing instead of changing because our brains are afraid of change, because our brains protect us from change. That's literally their job. But transformation is going to accelerate when somebody reflects back to you your patterns in real time. When I sit here and I say to you, you are currently blocked because you're doing X, you're going to be like, whoa. And then we're going to say, here's what we do about it. It has to be both that awareness and the accountability, because accountability, most people, I would say that 90% of people who inquire to work with me and don't sign up is because they actually don't trust themselves to execute because they know that I will hold them accountable. And they're afraid of what will happen if they actually execute on the plan and what that will create for them, right? Fear of success. But accountability is about interruption. Accountability is about challenging what we know to be true right now and providing our brains with new data to see things differently. This is the purpose of who we are and who we're becoming. This is why, if you want to start working out, this is why appointments with personal trainers, where you have to go there and there's another person depending on you, work. This is why accountability is part of our values as a team and my team internally and when I work with clients. Because imagine if I only told people what they wanted to hear. And imagine if you only told yourself what you thought you wanted to hear. Imagine if you avoided the discomfort of growth. You wouldn't be where you are right now. You wouldn't have gotten this far. One conversation can change the trajectory of your business. One conversation can change the trajectory of your business because somebody finally helps you see the thing under the thing, right? You have awareness of the thing, but why is the thing happening? You're too close to see that. And we can't change the situation, the circumstances, or the results without figuring out what the thing is under the thing. And this is exactly why discovering with the woman that I was talking to that her fear of success was because she thought in order to triple her earnings, she would have to triple her workload was such a beautiful discovery. Because then she went on to build a full plan of how she's going to triple her workload without adding any hours. Because when we're forced to create step for a specific solution, we know how to problem solve. If we only have an hour in a day to do this one thing that we know we have to get done, we're going to figure it out. But we have to find the thing under the thing, and then we have to have accountability to execute. And if you know you're in a season where like you can't keep doing this alone, if you know that you need somebody who can provide not only the mental breakthroughs, the shifts internally in your own identity, but the tactical structure and steps that you need to take. If you know that you're tired of the same patterns, you're tired of your own shit, you're tired of hitting these same ceilings over and over again. If you know that there's another level inside of you, but again, you keep bumping into this wall, or maybe you're going back and forth, then I want to invite you guys into my mastermind, the Founders Table. The Founders Table is my mastermind that I closed to recalibrate and rebuild. And we are now reopening with a brand new structure that is unlike anybody in my industry has ever done. We decided to reopen this because there is a need for the work that I do in a larger scale. And there's nothing better than mixing the work that I do with my clients who are making millions and multi-millions to mixing that work with also providing the community for you. And the cool thing is that this mastermind is actually starting in September. So it gives us all summer to explore with our family, not have to worry about anything. But since I know us, what we are doing is we're going ahead and letting you give a deposit for your spot so that we can run your business assessment and analysis and tell you exactly what to work on over the next few months leading up to the mastermind. So you're not just saying, okay, well, I'll work on my business growth in September. So we wanted to give an onboarding ramp that felt intentional and that would actually provide you with steps, with breakthrough, and with priorities so that you were not spending the next few months running in circles. We also are going to give you a City Girls ticket, and the mastermind is going to include a retreat. So, in person, community, having not only accountability from me, but accountability from your peers, growing your network, building, actually finally building the next version of your business that is earning more without adding hours to your plate. This is what we are building. So this is for women across all industries. We are going to be together for a year. We are going to start in September. And I am going to ask that you message me on Instagram and you can secure your spot that way. We also will drop the link for the deposit in the show notes. So the deposit is $500 that reserves your spot. And then your payment is going to be due in August to start in September. So those are more logistical details, but I know some of you guys want those things. Again, this is going to include a City Girls ticket. It's going to include a retreat. It's going to include 2 calls a month with me. It's going to include 2 calls a month for co-working and implementation. This in itself is huge because how many times have you been in a group and you've got this information that you need to apply to your business and then you don't have a space in your calendar to do it? You don't have to attend those sessions, but we added so much to this mastermind that is intentional. We're going to be tracking your performance. We're going to be giving you quarterly business reviews with priorities so you know exactly what to work on, how to work on it. It's going to be not only my brain, but also my COO's brain. And we have a VIP tier if you want one-to-one calls with me too. So you'll be able to choose which tier that you want. And also, as if that is not enough, we are doing a money back guarantee. I said what I said. We are doing a money back guarantee. If you don't make the money that you invest in paying for the mastermind, if you don't make that back in your year, then you don't pay for it. Because I know that the work that we are doing is that good. So if you are feeling like you're sick of the ceilings, if you're feeling like, okay, I need to understand the infrastructure of the business, what I need for my people, my pricing, my processes to be able to scale without running myself into the ground, without taking time away from my family, I want you to go ahead and either message me on Instagram. If you have questions, we can voice note back and forth there, or you can go ahead and you can click the deposit link that is in the show notes, save your spot. And again, you will get your choice of which City Girls city you want to come to. We have Atlanta, Dallas, and Nashville left. So all those details we'll get on the back end, but this is it, guys. Like this is the space that you truly, truly need. You need support to create the life and the business that you want. And I've done it. My clients are doing it. And now it's your turn. 100 episodes in, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that growth is rarely about intelligence, how smart we are. It's about honesty. It's about radical responsibility. It's about the stories that we're carrying. It's about who we're willing to become. It's about the step that we're willing to take. Because even in this investment, even in taking this step with me and trusting me to help guide you, what it's really about is you believing in yourself. So I want to leave you with 2 things today. The first thing I want to leave you with is that question. Do you believe in yourself enough to come in and take this next step? To know that it is going to drastically shift who you are, how you lead, and the results that you get from your business? Do you trust yourself to execute and make that your reality? And my second question is, what is the thing that you believe about your next version of success and what that will require from you? I would love to hear from you guys on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. If you've listened to all 100 episodes of the Mom Founders Table, it is only the beginning for us. As you guys know, we have a ton of amazing interviews and we have so many of them built out for the months to come. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And I'll talk to you guys next week.